back to another episode of the Growing Clawson Podcast. This is the Clawson Chamber of Commerce podcast powered by Hooper Marketing. Today, we are joined for our illustrious episode 7 here by Pastor Bob Morrissey of the church at Clawson. He is an integral member of the community that provides so many amazing things for our little town, our little city with a big heart. So I'd like to welcome Pastor Morrissey.
Thanks for having me on here. And I will always feel weird if you see me in the community and you call me by my last name. So
Pastor Bob.
Yeah. Pastor Bob works. Bob works. And what I always tell people, they question how they should call me. I figure if we can call Jesus, Jesus, you can call me Bob.
There you go. I like that. It's funny because that's just the proper polite way I was raised was it's always the last name. And if there's if it's a sir or a ma'am, or if it's a pastor or, some kind of dignitary, right. That's how I've always been. But yes, Pastor Bob is a wonderful part of our community, and I'm very happy to be able to sit down with him. I was excited when he reached out and said, I want to be on a podcast. And I was like, there we go. Let's go.
For sure. I'm happy to be on here.
It's exciting, and it's cool because we're going to be able to, open up an opportunity for you to talk about what goes on with the church, what goes on with you, how you connect to the community, how you help people. And I've seen that myself with the connection that, when we work together with the chamber and, I've been to your church. I've been to a service. I've was very lucky and was invited for the chili cookoff, which I'm hoping for next year as well, because that was some fine eating that day.
You need to come back for sure.
That was some fine eating that day. My body hated me after it because my body just, the older I get, the worse I do with heat, onions, tomatoes, all that stuff.
Let's get more descriptive, shall we?
Oh, I can, but I don't think you want to hear that part of it. So for the grace of the Lord in this podcast, we are going to not talk about that.
I understand what it does to you.
There you go.
Because you and I both had about 50 bites of 13 or 14 different kinds of chili.
Yep.
When you mix 13 or 14 kinds of... One chili can do that to you.
One chili.
13 or 14 different chilies, 2 or 3 bites each.
And it was funny, our other counterpart, Nick Stepnitz, I'll give him a shout out. It was so funny after the chili cook-off, he wasn't in the office. And I go, did the chili get him? And they were like, what chili? He did call in sick today. And then so I was messaging him. He ended up playing in I think it was a hockey game. It was either hockey or soccer, and he ended up hurting his toe. Oh. So he was out with an injury, but I was thinking he might have been out with a little more from the chili.
A little more from the chili.
And I was like, it looks like Bob and I are the strong ones here.
Yeah, the young guy's not nearly as tough as us middle-aged guys.
He's the youngest of the 3 of us. He's out for the count because of chili. All right. So that's our fun with the chili moment. So in the intro section, what we're gonna do is I want you to give me a little brief background, background on you, what got you to the point where you're at, what brought you to the beautiful area of Clawson, what tied you together with the church, so feel free to flow freely on that.
Yeah, I grew up in church, right? My whole life. My mom and dad were involved in it. Neither one of them grew up in church. They both came to church a little bit later as teenagers, and it changed their life. It helped them from paths they were on to be the good people that they still are today, and so they just raised me in that environment, and there were just so many good people that were in my life that impacted me along the way. And so for me, I would say, while the teaching certainly had an effect, it was the people that were living it out around me that I went, it makes a difference for them. Yep. And it made me be able to internalize it and embrace it, and then begin to dissecting the teaching on my own. But how it just changed them and helped them be the kind of giving, caring people they were. I said, hey, man, that's what I want to be. I want to be like them. I want to help people like they help me. And so God used like those people's lives, I think, to make me go, I think I'm supposed to do that.
That's the
same
path.
thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I taught school in Waterford
Okay.
for 8 years, and I taught English in high school and a little bit of math. And while I was teaching, I always was gravitating towards talking about life problems and things that kids were going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so easy for me to, the kids thought they were purposely leading me off track, and but I wanted to go off track.
Yeah.
And so I understood the importance of English and math. I just cared more about talking about life and life problems.
Yep.
And I said, I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yep.
And so pastoring, and it's what led me down to this area. I started a church in 2011. We rented space in Madison Heights,
Mm-hmm.
and a little less than a year later, there was a little small church on the red brick building right here in Clawson, 14 Mile.
Yep.
It's now Middle Eastern Bible Fellowship, but there was another little church that was there, and they had just sold to the Middle Eastern Bible Fellowship people, and so I started helping them. And eventually, over 6 months or so, we combined the two churches, and about a year later, we were praying and looking for property, and we wanted to be in Clawson.
Yeah.
And but Clawson's not that big, and so
It's a small little place.
but I drove past where the church is at now, which used to be an American Legion Hall,
Yeah.
and I felt like something in my spirit, like, is that the spot?
Yeah.
And so I literally pulled in the parking lot and sat there and prayed. And then God was like, "Why aren't you going to call?" And he was like, I was like, okay. So I called the number for the real estate, and got a hold, and I was like, "How much are you guys asking?" And they told me what they were asking, and I was like, "God, I heard you wrong," because that is not the right price.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the market was down and not celebrating in the decline of the American Legion, but that's just simply a lot of those type organizations have decreased in membership. And so over 6 months later, we were able to get the building for less than half of what they were originally asking.
Okay.
And so we bought that building in 2014.
Yeah.
And but there was just a small little handful of us, and I was by far the youngest family there with a group of older people, and we just set out to just try to discover what Clawson was about.
Yep.
And how can we be an asset in the community and make a difference right here in Clawson. And so after we were in the building for a little bit, we need to identify with our community, and how do we do that? And that's where we landed, just on simply the church at Clawson. So we just simply tell people, we just want to be God's church right here in Clawson. We're not trying to make a big name for ourselves. We just want to serve Clawson as good as we can, and people to go, man, they are. If people don't come to our church in Clawson, which certainly many people are, or some people are,
Yep.
but what I really hope is that even if you're not a church person or a God person, that you go, they're good for the community. They love the community. I might disagree with that Bible teaching there, but they love the community and they help people.
100%.
And so that's what we're trying to do. So the little things that we've done, a chili cook-off is with the Boy Scouts.
Yeah,
who
fantastic.
They meet in our church all during the school year, every Tuesday night. There's been up to 50, 60 boys in the troop at one time, and they meet in our building, and we're just happy to let things happen in our space. And I was telling Dom from Oakland County Football Club, churches too often have so much space, and it's only used once or twice a week.
Yep.
And I'm like, how can stuff happen in our building 5 or 6 days a week?
Of course.
And that's Clawson Youth Softball and Baseball. They have their meeting once a month in our building, and so we just try to do different things inside of the facilities and use them to help.
You guys also partner with that Korean church, correct, as well?
We do. There's a Korean church that meets right here in Clawson, and it's a Lord's Will church, and they speak Korean, and so we're happy they meet right after us on Sunday mornings at 1:00.
Wow. And that just shows the opportunity that's provided, because at the end of the day, you have that space and you want to be able to use it to its fullest advantage, and bringing community together is very important. And whether it's, whether you are a religious person or you're not a religious person, there's an opportunity and a space for that. And that's something that we lose a lot in today's world with the clubs like, the American Legion and the Knights of Columbus and things like that. Those meeting places that were once sort of there and thrived start to minimize and go away, and so those meeting spots become less and less. But you guys provide and offer an opportunity for people to, whether it's come and find that faith or find a space that they can utilize, whether they're faith-based or they're not faith-based. And I think that's important, and that is, that is something that I always applaud you on, because you're always willing to work with everybody no matter what the case. Because at the end of the day, again, whether religious or not, we all should be treated the same. We all should be, cared for. And that's something that, I almost called him Pastor Morrissey again. Pastor Bob. That is something Pastor Bob, I definitely see in you when we have those conversations or we connect on a different level.
Yeah, completely. I mean, obviously, I want to talk about Jesus. I want to talk about God. That's a big deal. That's the primary thing. But if a church isn't known for loving its neighbor, then what's the point? And that's specifically what God calls us to do, is to love our neighbors. And that doesn't stop if you're what your religious persuasion is or your political persuasion is. And honestly, as a pastor, it bothers me when church members or Christians make those things the biggest priority instead of, like, how can we, that's what we're here for. Yeah. We're here to love our community. So whether that's the church as a whole or you in your own home living next door to somebody, how are we going to do that?
Yeah, and it could be interesting when you look at that, because, sometimes those religious guidelines from some people, the way they approach it, can definitely take a misdirection, and they can think that they're doing it in their way because this is what the church wants, when ultimately all I've ever seen from you guys is just community. You've gone out of your way, and I don't think a lot of people know this, but when we first started connecting, when I came into this role, and we started talking, one of the first things you asked me for was like, do you have a list of businesses? And I said, I wonder why Bob wants a list of businesses. And he goes, well, we like to go on prayer walks. We like to go and, even not even going into the business, just standing over the business and having a conversation, having that conversation with the Lord, having a prayer for these businesses to continue to do well. And and he does it for everybody. It's not this is a Catholic business, or this is a Christian business, or this is a Muslim business. It's everybody is treated equally, and everybody, you provide that prayer for everybody. And I think that that's something amazing that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, we, in 2024, middle of 2024, we decided, we created a little theme at our church called Cover Clawson.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was just, how can we pray for and care for our city, right? And so if we think prayer is a big deal, then that's something we have to do. But literally, we just partnered up in groups of 2 or 3 and just walked across the city, and we stopped in front of all the businesses, and we walked past every single home, and we just prayed for people in different ways. And people in the church were like, well, how do we pray for somebody we don't know? I said, well, has anybody in your family ever gone through a cancer diagnosis? You can pray for people that are going through a cancer diagnosis. Has anybody have you lost anybody close to you? I said, somebody on the streets lost somebody close to them in the last year has passed away. I said, let's just go and pray. We stopped in front of the schools, and we prayed for safety for the teachers, and that we had purposely targeted in August before school started to pray in front of the schools. And just we weren't trying to we didn't make it a social media post.
Yep.
And but it's just that's what we want to do, and we do other things with Cover Clawson.
Correct.
I asked you for the business letter just to write a note.
Yep.
and say, hey, we care about you, and if there's anything our church can do for you,
reach out.
Let us know. And we might not be able to do it, but we'll die trying. You know what I mean? Like, how can we help? How can we serve? And we love to keep things inside of Clawson if we can. You know, we try to do. I've hit up several different coffee shops here in Clawson and bought stacks of gift cards, and then we give them to guests when they come to the church. But we're telling the guests we love them, the new person that we love them, but then hopefully it's telling the business in Clawson we love them too. Like, I'm not against Starbucks, but there's no Starbucks here in Clawson.
No.
And I care about the Sabbath Coffee Roasters and Cave, and sorry, other coffee people that I'm forgetting to mention. Big B.
White Wolf.
Right, White Wolf.
Yep.
Right. And so, like, we want to just we want Clawson to do well.
Yes.
Right? Like, if the church is doing well but Clawson isn't, then I kind of feel like we're failing. Like, I want Clawson to do well.
Yeah. And and I think that's important, and that really speaks to, you know, what you have done with the church and how it connects to people. And I always like to give, you know, the recognition where it's deserved, because there's something about that, you know, selflessness of being able to participate in all the things that you do with the community. And it's not at the cost of, you know, oh, well, you know, you give us a bunch of money and we'll do whatever you want, you know. And I always walk down that path on my line when it comes to the chamber, because, you know, I find ways to partner with people, you know, such as you and other church, that, you know, you don't always have the money pouring out of the pockets because you're trying to help and give back and do what you do. And so we find ways to partner with you to make it equitable to have you as a member of the, you know, Chamber of Commerce, to where we work together, and it's not always about those monetary things. And I think that that's the most important thing, is whether it's a nonprofit or a church or a business that, you know, might be going through its toughest year, and their bottom line is, you know, down to every single penny's counted. Yeah. I think that's important to be able to work, and you do such a wonderful job with that, of being able to have those conversations and provide opportunities and space and kindness and care and prayer for people, you know, even when it might not be something that they might connect to, but it could be something that they need, you know, and it's that opportunity.
It absolutely could be, and it might be something they need or desire later.
Yep.
Down the road. And like you said, like, we just try to, again, we're going to serve everybody. Like the Clawson Lions Club has the big car show every year, and we
hot dogs.
Yeah, and we love that event.
Yep.
One of the very first years we were there, and I'm in the building and we're figuring out what's happening, we gave away $500 or $600 for free.
Yep.
Well, the Clawson Lions Club came to me about a month before the car show the next year, and they were like, can you please not give away hot dogs? I'm like, that's what the church does. We help people. And they're like, yeah, but all the businesses hate you. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Fair point. And they were like, please sell them. And I'm like, okay, you don't have to twist my arm, right? But then at that point, it was about being a good neighbor to the businesses. Correct. By not undercutting Tavern on the Main and Barb's Pizza and everybody else down the strip, right? Yep. And so for us, it was just like, okay, what little things can we do? But like the Clawson Lions Club, they were nervous when we first bought that property, and Howie Harris, who, you know, longtime city council person involved, yes, he came in kind of with his tail between his legs, like, are you going to be okay? And can we do? And I'm like, Howie, just spit it out, man. Yeah. And he's like, well, normally we put porta potties here, and we have a big truck here. And I was like, done. Porta potties here, big truck here. I'll make it happen. Yep. Right? It's what's always happened there. And I can't see that ever not being something. And we've tried to just small things, like, who wants to use a porta potty? Well, they're there, but the doors are wide open. Come in and use the bathroom on the inside. And
yeah, an indoor bathroom is much better than a porta potty. We can definitely, if that's what we were going to end the podcast on today.
Yeah.
I think
we started with chili problems,
and then we're going right into a porta potty discussion.
I mean, if you're not a God person or a faith person, here's what you can be thankful for: an indoor toilet from the church at Clawson,
yes,
you can give thanks for that.
You can give thanks for a lovely place where you don't have to be terrified of what's underneath you. It all goes into the sewage from inside of the church at Clawson. The porta potty all sits in one tiny little tub. All right, we're going to move on from that because that is going to get me in trouble, and I'm sure Walter's going to clip that.
You should, totally. Yeah. I don't care. No, I don't know who will get in trouble with. It won't get in trouble with me.
No, it won't get me in trouble, but it'll get it. That's the issue is I struggle with what people would normally call a filter.
I understand completely.
And it makes it fun whether it's in my hat of chamber executive or as in my hat of city council. And playing the devil's advocate in my own brain is already terrifying enough. So
you have to put a filter on every other Tuesday night.
Every other yes. The first and third Tuesdays, filters are up.
My problem is only sometimes does my filter happen on Sunday morning.
Sometimes you wake up with the filter off, and it happens.
Sometimes it comes out on Sunday morning, and everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, well,
you know. God forgives.
It is what it is.
No. All right. So, we've touched on what, you do with the Church at Clawson and what you do in the community. I think, some of these questions that I had here are, a little more faith-based because I think that there's a portion that, people really enjoy with that. So, what does living out your faith actually look like in Clawson during a normal week?
Oof. That's a good one. I didn't get written down ahead of time. So you got
this is off the top for Bob.
It's completely.
There's
off
no
the
prep
top.
here. This is the Clawson Chamber No Prep Podcast.
For me, there's two factors here. The church as a whole, when we come together to do different things, it empowers us to live out that faith differently, because when you're in a group of people, you get to do your thing and I get to do my thing, but your thing helps my thing go further. And so a church really empowers people's, what we would call in the church world, their gifts or your talents. And because so like I started doing the little bit of outreach at the car show, but we have a lady in our church, and I met her at the car show, and her mom. We were outside talking, met her at the car show, and found out her mom had cancer and got to pray with her in the parking lot. Well, that's what I'm good at.
Yep.
But I'm not real good at running an event for a car show. I can think of a few things. And she started coming to our church, and she goes, "Are we doing that car show thing like you did last year?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she started talking and chattering, and I saw like her eyes light up. And I'm like, "Do you know what you're doing with this?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I did this car show here and did this one with my dad, and we used to do this every year, and we could get this person and this person." And I'm like, "You are now in charge of the car show at the church." And what happened is her abilities, when you're a part of a church, it strengthens other people's abilities to use their giftings, right? So my calling to lead and start a church empowers her to be able to live out in the community with her strengths and abilities. And so, but then there's so many things that happen at that car show.
Yep.
We got bounce houses out there. Why? Because some kids come to a car show, but car shows and kids are bad mixes.
Very true.
Because you have to say, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch.
Yep.
So for the parent with their child, your kid needs a 20-minute break.
Yep.
Jumping on a bounce house. So now somebody who couldn't run a car show but can talk with some parents by a bounce house while their kids are jumping gets to do that. And somebody else gets to serve. And so we get a way to be together and all use our gifts. Some guy who can grill hot dogs isn't going to run a car show, but he helps run our outreach during the car show because he can grill hot dogs. And so together, I think the best way to live out your faith is in community.
Yep.
Because number one, people test you.
Yes, they do.
Churches aren't perfect. We rub each other wrong sometimes.
That is fair.
So when we can come together and work through problems and show love to one another, you say, it's easy to love one another. No, how are you loving your family?
Yeah.
It's easiest for me to yell at my wife than it is at a stranger, unless I'm driving in the car and they cut me off. But I've never yelled at a stranger in the grocery store. And most of us never have, because we're not crazy.
That's fair.
We're not that crazy.
Not that crazy. That's where we put a level in there.
Right? But at home, you snap. So we get to live out our faith when we come together to serve outwardly and to try to grow inwardly, like grow spiritually and see what God's doing in our lives. Individuals should take from what happens together and then live out their faith. What does your neighbor need next door?
Yep.
Are you aware enough of what they need? Yeah, I think there's a time and a place to talk about Jesus. I think there's a time and a place to talk about specific faith matters, like, heaven and hell and the stuff that makes everybody real nervous. I think there's a time and a place for that.
Yeah.
But if they don't think I care about them, then do they want to have a conversation about their spirit?
Yeah.
Probably not. And so the biggest thing, I think, is how do we just love the people next door to us?
Yep.
And so for me, I think the group helps inform how you should live outwardly and empowers you to do so.
I like that. I think that's a beautiful approach of being able to look at that way. And I for somebody who has grown up, in faith, I grew up Episcopalian. I converted when I met my wife to Catholicism. My grandmother always joked that Episcopalian was Catholic light.
It's true. Grandma was right.
That's the Canadian joke. That's the Canadian joke center. But it's always been something that's there. And don't get me wrong. There's moments where I've had time where you go through those. Well, maybe I am a anarchist or I'm thinking of something totally different. Atheist. That's the brain where my brain.
There we go.
Anarchist. You know what? I am an anarchist too.
Anarchist that serves on city council.
Clip that one too.
City council anarchist.
Yeah, that'll get me in some trouble. All right. So after Walter cuts that one out of there, but you get to those moments where you're like, well, maybe I don't believe, or maybe I'm not this, or maybe there's no connection there. And I think everybody has a moment in their life where they go through some kind of faith-based, conundrum, some kind of thing where they question that, and everybody has their own way, their own spiritual growth about it. Some people are more church-based. Some people are more spiritual based, where they might not be a direct, church goer or a church follower, but they, have that belief in their own way. Some people have the different religions, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, all of these things make us what we are today and tie us together in different ways. And I guess to the point that I'm trying to get there is church and community are very close together. I think that when you have a community within your church, that really helps you when you may not have that community outside of that. It could be a family issue. It could be a life issue. The church can, when you have a community within that church, I think it really can tie you together.
It absolutely should do that. And when growing up, I don't remember being poor, but
But you definitely were, because I also lived that life.
We weren't after I was 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Because my dad got a job at GM, and my mom ended up becoming a nurse, and so we were definitely not poor. And so I don't really remember any of the effects of it. It didn't affect me, I don't think, in any way. Yeah. But I remember people from our church bringing groceries to our door, and I remember going to my dad. Mr. So-and-so, what's his name? He's got the big mole right here. I was like, he just set a box on our porch. And my dad brought it in, and there were Lucky Charms in there. And I was like, he brought us Lucky Charms, right? Like all we ever got was Cheerios, right? Yep. Or Rice Krispies. And I was like, Lucky Charms. But just that community that was there for us when we were struggling physically. Yep. And they were there for those other things, those other moments, right? when my when my grandma passed away and when those things transpired, there was a group that was there for me. When my dad was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days, there's people that are bringing meals to our house. And church really ought to be that. And if it's not, it opposes the very definition of what church is. I mean, if you grew up in any sort of Christian culture, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. But if you just think about those two first words, our, immediately, the very first word of the prayer is to make you get outside of yourself. Our means something belongs to us together, and then Father. So if he's your Father and he's my Father, then we're brothers and sisters. So to me, that very whole thing, Jesus teaches us to pray. And those are the very first 2 words, is that we're a family. And so church ought to be that. Unfortunately, we've all experienced rough things probably in our own families. So church has that too. But at the very heart of it, it ought to be that deep relationship that guides us through those things, right? Like how do we work through this? So.
I like that. And it's an interesting way to look at that, because you see the people that are connected through you in life and the people who are there to help. And it's something that you said in that story was, he dropped it on the porch. He wasn't there to, be like, oh, I'm here to bring you your bountiful, it was him going out of his way to be that kind brother, that kind sister, that kind person who was there for you. And sorry if you pick it up in the background, depending on how Walter's editing goes, but God definitely opened up the sky for our podcast. It's pouring rain outside right now. I was like, oh, look, drums in the background. Nope, that's rain. So, I have a couple more questions here for you, and then we're going to jump into Walter's Corner. I'm sure he's got some burning questions for you, Pastor Bob.
As in what chili does to the insides of you?
Well, we might go down that rabbit hole again. So just based on a couple of the questions that I pulled up, that I put together, something that I would like to know is, what makes a church feel like a home rather than a place you attend?
Makes a church feel like a home. You have to make the church yours. So what makes your home feel like your home? You contribute to it. Children might not contribute to the home, but good parents, as the kid gets older, require their children to contribute to it. What do you do? Do you clean your room? Do you clean the bathroom? Do you cut the grass? Right? So when somebody comes in and they're loved, first of all, because they belong new, right? A new baby is born. Well, the baby's not doing anything. The parents are doing all of it. So when people come in, what makes a church feel like home? When the church is ready for the new people to come. We're expecting you, and we're excited that you're there, right? We're not surprised that you're there. We're excited that you're there. We're glad that you're there. We're ready. And then when you start going, this might be the place, you have to give part of your heart over to it. But how do you get your heart there?
No.
Right? The only way to get your heart somewhere, the Bible says, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Most of the time people think my treasure goes where my heart is. The Bible tells us opposite. Your heart follows your treasure. Now, what's treasure? It could obviously be money, right? You put your money somewhere, you're going to care about it, right? Like, you definitely care because your money went there. If I'm going to give a bunch of money to some organization, you better believe I'm going to care what they're doing.
Make sure that it cares.
Right? But also my time, right? So if I'm there regularly, if I jump in on a car show day, if I jump in and I make chili and I participate, if I serve in a kids class or I go on a prayer walk, and I start hanging out with people outside of church, and I go over their house on Sunday afternoon. Now that's not just the person I attend church with, that's my friend. And so it has to be something you contribute to.
Yep.
You have to give your time, and money is important, but money is, I can always get it from somewhere.
Yep.
What I can't get is I can't get my time back.
Time is very valuable.
I can't get my time back. So when you give time, I think you're giving your most valuable resource. If I give you my time today, I didn't spend it with my wife. I didn't spend it with my kids.
Yep.
It's time. So for me, people just investing their time and their talents into a place,
Yep.
then your heart goes there naturally. So that's how it becomes a home, when your heart's there. You can live in a place for a week and not be really attached to it. Live there for a long time, it might not even be that great of a place. But if you put the church building that we're in, which wasn't a church building, I call it a church building on purpose and not a church, because I think the church is the people and not the physical location. But that location means a lot to a lot of people at Clawson, at the church at Clawson, because they labored to make it what it is today. They put up drywall. They painted. They tore down smoke-filled ceiling tiles in the building.
Yellow stained.
Yes. They tore out old tile that probably wasn't asbestos. And
probably was.
We have to say it that way. Probably wasn't. In case you're checking.
Wasn't.
Right? And they labored. They gave.
Yep.
And so now it's something you're vested. This is my home. This is my place that I belong. Why? Because you gave.
Yeah. I like that. All right. I've got one more question for you, and then we're going to jump into Walter's Corner. How do you handle doubt or unanswered prayers?
Oh, good one. Doubt is so real, and I don't think anybody doesn't have it. I don't think some Christian arrives there without it. For me, I personally have enough evidence in my life that I go back and retell myself the stories of the past. Why, if you have questions, if I have questions about my wife, well, she was this, and she was this, and she was this. I have a track record to go off of. So for me, if I'm waiting on God to do something because I'm praying, what track record do I have of God in his life and how, in my life, of how I've seen God move? So I think God often does things for people initially when they're first coming to faith and first on their journey, because they would be new. They would be, maybe the term born again would come to mind, right? So he's caring. But then he's not always where you feel the presence. When my kid turned 6, I didn't want to pour the cereal bowl every time.
That's fair.
I wanted them to do it, right? I wanted them to take those steps. So I have to back off sometimes so they can grow. I'm still present.
Yep.
I'm still there, but I need them to take some steps that are following the route that they need to go. I didn't expect them to pour the bowl of cereal without showing them how.
Yep.
The first time I kind of helped them hold the milk, and I helped, this is about how much you want to pour in, right? And so we walk through those things. So for me, it's the recalling of what I've seen God do in the past. There are moments where I go, what are you doing? And why is this happening? Right? Like I can be like, God, I'm a pastor. And why is this happening in my life? Mm-hmm. All right, if I get real with you, me and my wife, we've had to wrestle real deeply. My mother-in-law, a super good lady, right? And so as a Christian, you can go, she's a good person, right? Super good person. In her mid-50s, we began to see mental decline. And then by her late 50s, we went, there is a for real obvious problem.
Yeah.
And over 10 years, we watched her just lose all ability. Dementia stole everything from her, to the place where the last year and a half, she couldn't speak. She couldn't get out of bed. It wasn't just that she was lost. She lost all physical capabilities. My father-in-law literally had to care for her day and night, carry her to the point where now he's putting a diaper on his wife because she can't even sit on a toilet and go to the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, God, like, why? Like, and then why so long? If you were going to let her go through it, like, why so long? Like, why couldn't it just be much shorter, right? And so you're going, what are you doing? Like, we're the good guys. Like, there's a lot of bad people out there, God. Like, let them have something happen, but not us. And we're not wishing bad upon anybody, but your mind can begin to
Your brain races. It goes from place to place.
It's not fair. And we're in the middle of taking care of my wife's grandma. She's 91. She has lived a long life, but she has a different form of dementia or Alzheimer's, and she just loses who she is. And we're taking care of her.
Yeah.
You have to help get her up and everything, and she doesn't know who you are. And so there's that doubt can be there. But the evidence of God's goodness in the past helps me trust God. So when I can't see God's hand, I try to follow God's heart. And the heartbeat of God, where I've seen God in my life and seen him do so many other good things, then I go, just because I can't see you now, just because I can't trace your hand, I can trust your heart. And so the heartbeat of God, for me, helps me recall. I know the Bible stories, but it's 2,000 years ago, or 4,000 years ago. Okay. But what has God done in my life where I've seen him? And so I think it's so important to get around other people when you're struggling like that, because sometimes you experience God through people.
Taylor's back to community.
I think it totally does, because the church is to be the hands and feet of Jesus. It absolutely is. And so where do you get your hug from? That's what you need. When you're confused and when you're lost, if God's my father, it's a little bit of a childlike prayer. And so there's that dependency. So if I can't see my father, I need a bigger brother to come along and help me. And that's where you experience a father, because not all of us are struggling at the same time.
Very true.
And so there's the community again. We're all going to struggle. We're all going to have doubts.
Yep.
I've been pastoring for almost 15 years, and I've had plenty of doubts, but I've always had the older pastors. I pick up the phone and I say, I'm messed up. And they're like, what are you going to do? I'm like, no, that's why I'm calling you. I want you to help me, right? And we all need those people that are there to help. Maybe it's because I'm weaker, but I really wonder sometimes how people do it without a community.
Yeah. Like,
how do you do it without that close-knit group of people that help you go through the hard time? And I think that's a large part of what a church does.
I like it. I think that really ties it together on, where we started with community and how it ends when you may have those questions that really get to you sometimes. And I think that's just overall, no matter race, religion, creed, anything like that. I mean, I think that's overall the human condition where we have those questions of, well, why or what or how could you? And
I think those are 100% fair too. One of my big issues is when church doesn't let people ask the why and the hard questions, right? Yeah. Like, why does evil exist in the world? Like, so as a Christian, I will specifically claim that God is all loving, all powerful, and all knowing. So if he's an all loving God and he has all power and he knows everything that happens, how could he let that happen to that child?
Nope.
great question, right? And if a church isn't willing to tackle that and say, oh, you just got to believe, faith isn't blind. That is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Faith isn't blind. The Bible tells us that faith is the evidence of things not seen.
Okay.
All right?
I like that.
There's evidence behind it. I came down here and I sat in this chair.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't test it out. I didn't check out the bracing of it and
you're lucky it's still standing. These things are terrifying sometimes.
Well, to be slightly rude, I didn't ask you to sit in the seat before me.
True.
You weigh more than me, right?
Yeah.
So if I didn't have faith,
yeah,
I would have asked you to sit in it first, because that would have proved to me. But you know why I did sit down? Because I've sat in chairs like this a million times in my life. And I went,
chair.
Right. And I had faith in you not to give me a garbage chair that I was going to fall in.
Well,
right?
No pranks for Pastor Bob.
No pranks on podcast, on camera especially. But so faith is not, like, I don't believe there's some sky all-powerful God floating around because I want to, but because I believe there is evidence to back it up. And so faith is, there's evidence for why, but it's not just some feeling that I got, although the feeling is part of it. Feelings are real, but it's not just some feelings I have. So when my feelings are gone, like, I have evidence behind that compels me to move forward.
I like that. All right. Well, that's everything I have for you. Now this is Walter's Corner. Walter is our wonderful podcast producer. He's the owner of Hooper Marketing. I always shout him out because he does such an amazing job. But he always likes to try to bring the fun questions. He always likes to try to bring the more personal, thought-provoking off of the topic that we cover. So, take it away, Walter.
Well, thank you for your time today, again. So my first question I have for you, tell us something about what you do that you don't like and why.
Oof. I don't like the organizational part of church. I like to think big and dream big and then go, you guys figure out how we're going to do this. So like the nitty gritty details of putting things together, or I can't stand that. And if I can answer further, I don't like conflict.
That's fair.
I sometimes I have to deal with it, but sometimes when there is those interpersonal problems, I'm like, oh, do I really have to make this phone call to this person and
take my step
and
back.
Be like, why are you doing this? That it makes me sick to my stomach. I can't sleep the night before when I know I'm going to do it. Like, it messes me up bad.
I think they call that church politics.
Sometimes there are politics. We try to avoid them.
That is the fun. You got one more?
I do have one more. And when you are not leading a congregation, what are some of your favorite hobbies and activities in your pastime?
Yeah, so one thing that I've grown to enjoy is, and I don't get to do it nearly enough, but I enjoy like kayaking. I enjoy like just even if I get to go out to the Clinton River and just go down the river and just I can feel like I'm away from everything even though I'm super close. Really enjoy that. And I grew up playing sports. It was the only thing that made school worth going to. Like, school was like boring. Like, this is the last thing I want to do. I played soccer, basketball, baseball on repeat, right? Like from fall to whatever. And so for me, March Madness, which we just got finished with college basketball. I'm not a Michigan Wolverine fan, but shout out to all you Wolverine fans.
Go Blue!
Yeah, they had a great thing. But man, just to the first weekend of March Madness, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday games starting at noon and running till midnight. Like, I try to get all my church work done. Like, that week I'll work 12, 13-hour days so I can sit there and watch hoops. I went over to a guy's house from the church we talked about God like off and on for like an hour, but we watched 10 hours of hoops on that first Friday of the tournament and just ate good food. So if I can eat barbecue from right down here down the road and watch hoops, I'm in heaven.
There you go. There we go. I like that. That's the beautiful thing. It's funny how the connection of community, whether it's church or it's a sports team or it's, something like that can really bring people together. And it's sort of cool to see, some people react with sports teams as if they're a religion as well, depending on how crazy you follow.
If we can't all root for the Lions, we got real problems,
That's
right?
Very true.
Let's root for the Lions. Let's root for the Tigers.
Listen, I grew up rooting for the Lions during the bags over my head seasons. Okay, those 0-16.
Yep, I remember that.
But I've been a fan my entire life, and I have people who I'm friends with from outside of Michigan who always just go, "Why? Why do you keep doing that to yourself?" And I go, "It's because I care." Somewhere deep down, there's something in there that draws me back. But that does it with Walter's Corner. This last little bit is, for you, Pastor Bob. Take the time, tell people where they can, check you out for, your services. If people are looking for opportunities, maybe to volunteer within the church or look for ways to utilize the space. Among those things, best way to reach out to you, talk to you, stuff like that.
Yep. So ClawsonChurch.com is our website, and I think one of the best places to really find out more about us just to follow us online. We got a fairly decent online presence on Facebook and on Instagram. And if you just type in Clawson Church or the Church at Clawson or something, bad promotion here, you'll find us on there. We do have a pretty decent-sized YouTube channel as well.
Yep. Amazingly,
for the not so large church that we are, we have about 40,000 YouTube subscribers.
That's crazy.
And so Church at Clawson Media, you can find us on YouTube. And so we're on there. You'll just catch clips. But really, we Sunday morning, 10:45, done right about noon, and time to go grab lunch right here in Clawson.
Yep.
And I ate right here in Clawson this past Sunday after church, right at Old Detroit Burger Bar. And
shout out Marty.
Yes, and Marty was awesome, man. We had another family from our church, and he came over and they had younger kids. He came over and gave them $1 each to do in the arcades, right?
There you go.
And gotta love it.
That's definitely a Marty move.
So Church at Clawson, man, you can reach out just by sending a message. My email, pastorbob@clawsonchurch.com, and we're just working on numerous things just to try to make Clawson a better place and open up our facilities. And we'll probably publicize a form online here soon for people can request a place to meet and use. We've had people do open houses at the church. We've had people do birthday parties at the church, and some of those haven't even been part of the church. People that regularly attend the church, just people that we knew through other people and requested space. So love being here in Clawson, and I gave a shout out to Dario. So maybe I'll see you down there this summer at the Dario.
Oh, I can tell you'll see me there. There might be Dario in my evening tonight. I might be going to get some of that after our last event. Well, honestly, Pastor Bob, I truly appreciate you taking the time. I look forward to continuing to find ways that we can work and continue to grow both the amazing church that you have and this amazing community that we have. And we're always looking for, ways to continue to do that. So if there's anybody out there listening, feel free to reach out. I would love to, find ways that the Chamber and the Church at Clawson can partner on events as well to, continue to grow what we do. So this is another episode of Growing Clawson Podcast, a Clawson Chamber of Commerce podcast powered by Hooper Marketing. We really appreciate everybody tuning in, checking out. We should have some fun clips for today. It'll be a good way to market your church. Again, another special thank you to Walter every time. He's my godsend. He's made this podcast journey so much easier for me instead of me just waddling around with a mic and crying into the corner. But that being said, thank you again. Thank you for everything you do. And if you have time, and you're interested or even don't know, or if you're not interested, check out a service. Give them a Sunday, check them out, come visit, everybody feels at home when you're there, and it's super cool. I had a great experience, you know, and I think that's the part of the community. So we're excited to experience more, learn about you today, and that'll be it for this episode. Give everybody a good peace sign, and we'll peace it out for the day.
Thanks, Alec. Appreciate you having me.
Of course. Thank you, Pastor Bob. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you again for joining us today. This is another episode of Growing Clawson, a Clawson Chamber of Commerce podcast powered by Hooper Marketing. Please make sure to like and subscribe and to leave a comment on future opportunities or people you'd like to see us interview.